for this Wednesday. We've actually had a look at all the movements for our set. These returning fifth sets are not particularly long forms. They're just trying to give us an opportunity to integrate and change kind of our yi, of our yi Chuan, this idea that intent shapes the movements that we have, and being able to kind of go from shape to shape, from movement to movement, is a good challenge on the mind, and it also gives us some fighting strategies and things like that as well. So let's get ourselves warmed up a little bit here. We'll settle the feet in the ground and just let the head rise and fall. Again, rising up and down, and just looking from side to side. And we'll go ear to one shoulder and the other. Again, the first side and the second. Just a couple of circles across the front. And then we'll warm up the shoulders backwards and forwards. Good. Arms can circle back. And the other way. Let's reach up, open up the rib cage and hang to one side. And same on the other. Yeah, let those arms go loose and just kind of wrap around the body a bit. Let's go for some shoulder stretch. Just a pull. And same on the other arm. Good. Over the head and pull. And same on the other arm. And we'll finish up with behind the back and pull. And same on the other side. Good. Let's warm up the hips. Let them roll around one way. And around the other. One more time the first way. And the second. Knees are going to go from the inside to the outside. 2, 3, 4, and 5. From the outside to the inside. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Shake out the legs. We'll warm up the knees just a bit. Around one way. And around the other. One more time the first way. And the second. And then wake up the hamstring, fold through the hip, and stretching down. And then we'll roll to come back up. Okay, let's start ourselves out this morning with some Yi Chuan trajectories to work on nice repetitive movements that help to build that sort of core intelligence and biomechanical chains that we're looking for. So feet are going to go a little wider than shoulder width, and we're going to work on just a lunge to one side and lunge to the other side as sort of the base platform for this one. And this is a good place to work on that idea of engaging the glutes to extend the leg and the quads to catch in that fold in the hip. So what we're going to do is we're going to reach our hands out at the side. We're going to come across in the front. We're going to draw in. We're going to come across. We're going to push out. So around and in and across and out. Now let's go back the other way. So the hands are out in the front. Draw in, press out, cut across, draw in, push out, cut across. Good. Okay, let's use the same leg work. And we have in our fire fist, we've got this drawing in, this circulating one way, drawing in on the other side. Now in the set we're doing, we've got to kind of do that from that pounding the mortar position where we draw out. But let's work in each one that sort of helps with a little bit of that circuit as well. So here we're going to go back to that shifting from leg to leg, and we're going to push out to the corner. So we're going to draw in, then we're going to lift up through the center and push out. Draw in, up, and out. So we're kind of making a figure 8 here. We're crossing through the center, pressing out, drawing in, pushing out. Let's do a couple more. Good. Okay, so let's go back to that first one, because we have a lot of work in this set on different versions of this earth fist, this crossing exercise for earth fist. We're coming across, we're driving under, we're pulling through. And this is one that Sifu sort of connected in with this Chuan exercise for me at one time and really helped a lot. So we were getting our kind of across and back. Now let's think of that across as being that front arm. So we're reaching, drawing, reaching, drawing. This gives that nice feeling of these circular kind of hammering, pounding techniques, this covering of our center with our elbow and forearm. So we're across and across and across and across. Now, the opposite, the other arm for this is we're thinking about scoop through, scoop through. And so we've got that, remember we were talking about sneaking that uppercut in, or forearm check kind of motions. One, we've got the low strikes to the body, or kind of coming across and hitting into the liver and spleen and coming across the body. So we've got one side, and this just gives us a sense of really feeling that power structure from the hip. Boom, pushing. And we've got the activity in our upper body. 1 and 2. And then we want to work those two together. So we're going 1, 2, 1, 2. So you can think about we're closing and then we're bringing this across. We're closing that a bit more and bringing it across. So you're shifting one side, other side. And this will help with those moments in the set where we're walking backwards and working this arm work, because it will help you with the sense of moving through the core. Now, an interesting one is to go back to this exercise where you go circulate 1, 2, and then what we're going to do is we're going to close and come back. So we're going to go 1, 2, and on number 3 here, we're going to close, wind up, and spiral back through. 1, 2, and now earth fist. Let's try that going the other way. 1, 2, and now here, we're going to cover across and drive out. 1, 2, and cover. 3. Last one. Cross and in, cross and in. Now earth fist. 1, 2. So just a way to kind of bring some of that into the body. Let's play a little bit more with the Chuan this morning, and let's focus on another one of the major techniques in the set. And we keep getting our wood fist inside of there. So now what we're going to work on, and we've been doing this a couple times over the last few weeks, where we have this outwards pressing. So we want to feel like we can kind of set into this position. Not we're forcing it, but we're framing. There's a lot of work in the Hsing system with what they call frames or shapes, where we're kind of framing up the body in a way that we want to make sure that this has sort of an outwards pressure so it doesn't collapse. If somebody was challenging that position, we don't want this to collapse. And where does this position show up a lot? Inside of grapples, where we're upright and we're wrestling a little bit, which is where a lot of conflicts end up going. A couple of strikes and then people tend to clash and often end up, someone hits the floor. We don't want to be the person who hits the floor, and we don't want to be crammed in and crushed from somebody coming in. So this kind of framework, if you imagine kind of putting your hands on somebody's shoulders and taking an inside position. So imagine their hands are on your shoulders. And what you want to do is you want to come up in that center and you want to frame open in a way that kind of spreads them out and it gives you control of your center space as well as theirs. So we're framed in here. So from that frame, we want to think about opening and settling. From a wrestling kind of upright grappling situation, if I imagine going from touching on their shoulders to sliding down to controlling in the crooks of their arms and their elbows and spreading that open, then the next piece of this is how to shove back and away. So we go spread open, settle, compress, uproot. Spread open, settle, uproot. We'll do a few of those. Fill that space. So one of the things that's tricky is we think of the push as being the final part of our forward motion. But in that last little bit of forward motion, that's where I open and I take over that center position before drawing back. Now here we're kind of resting and compressing the person, so they tend to push up against that compression, and then we release with our push back out. Open, settle, push. Let's try it with the other leg forward for a couple repetitions here. So we're rolling back, pushing forward. So we've got these kind of parallel ovals that we're working. Forward and push, roll back and push, roll back and push. A couple more, roll and push, roll and push. Then we said to really integrate this into the wood fist technique, we have to take those ovals and instead of them running together, we need them to start working opposite to one another. So that when I'm rolling back and controlling with one arm, I'm pressing with the other. And then I'm pressing, rolling, and coming through. So I have this pushing down the center, rolling back, pushing, press. Don't let this just collapse. Press in, turn the body. Keep the frame as you press out. Keep the frame as you press out. Let's try that with the other leg forward. So we can switch that up and we're pressing down, wiping to the side, containing. So this could be that I'm hooking up and getting hold of somebody's arm. So I could think of it as an overhook coming over their arm. Boom. It could be that I'm pressing underneath and drawing them off balance as we come through. It could be that I'm just thinking about blocking my core a little bit. And there's a nice little uh, parry that comes in here where we tap, but we open the door. So we tap, boom, and we open the door. So all of that stuff can come out of that wood fist idea. Okay, time doing its usual thing, zipping by. Let's look at one more sort of foundation concept that links into our set. So we have this phoenix motion rolling back, and we focused a little bit about the condensing and expanding concepts for pounding the mortar. But let's talk about a concept called passing. And what often happens when we're crossing wrists in sets is what we're looking at is actually a double chain of a major sort of directional movement for deflection. And that is to come up and engage with the inside of the arm and then turn out and open. Engage and open. So in the set, we've got both of those coming together. And that has lots of different things. We've talked about that. Tears across the face, driving and moving the face to the side. So you could be slipping in and pushing the face out of the way. We've got this chain of deflections. But let's look at it in terms of what's called passing or exchanging a little bit. So imagine if I came up with one arm, and if I had somebody's arm here and I could get up and underneath that and carry it out to the side, I might be able to cross them over, I might be able to open their center. But what I want to do now is I want to think about this in terms of I catch it on one arm and then I take it back to the other arm. So we have this kind of weaving motion. They come up together, but that doesn't mean, remember we said calisthenics, range of motion, can't do all the variations and make it a set that we can get through. So here as we come up from underneath, think about just as you're about to pass that arm over, you pick it up and you take it to the other side. So it could be that kind of exchange. It could be that I come around here and we've got this pounding of the mortar. This gets used a lot in knife work and things like that as well, where what you do is you catch on one side and you pass. So I've got somebody's arm, I'm pulling it across so I can catch it in the other arm. So I'm passing this over. So it could be that our pounding the mortar is giving this idea of throwing something into that hand. So you deflect. Could be on the inside of somebody, bringing it across. Could be that you've scooped around. These often are about getting to the outside and then passing that arm over. That gives us lots of opportunities for locks and things like that. So there's something to keep in mind that we could be using this to pass an arm from one hand to the other, from catching, deflecting, and throwing that hand into the other side. Okay, something else I want to touch base with today, and then we'll get into our turnarounds, and we're going to go through some nice slow passes of the set to finish off today. We have in our turnaround, we have in our dragon pose, and we have in our slide back and wood fist, this unusual hook stance work that is very integrated into the martial arts from China and Japan. So what I'm going to get is one of the things we have to watch for is that we don't want to get rotational torque in the knee when we're creating these hook stance positions. So a quick little exercise we're going to work on today. We're going to set the weight into one leg, and then we're going to reach behind and touch the toe. We're going to set the weight in. So one of the things we have to think about with this exercise is taking the weight in the hip and not creating a lot of torque in the knee. So we're going 1 and 2. So I'm stepping across. I'm stepping across. Now notice that I'm shifting my weight down and in between those legs. I'm not pushing this knee forward of the weight-bearing foot. It is a difficult position. and it takes some flexibility in the hips, and that's one of the reasons it exists in the set, because remember, some of the set work is mobility work. And mobility work is a combination of strength and range of motion and flexibility. So we're stepping one. Now, how does that link into what we're doing in the set? Well, in the early part of the set, when we throw our wood fist, and then we're going to snap back into the hook stance, if I leave my front foot facing forward and then I twist my hips, I'm going to put a lot of rotation on that knee. So there's a subtle point inside of this where I'm going to actually turn that foot sideways. So if you want to do it ahead of time to get used to it, you know, you've come forward, you've thrown that wood fist, you can think about kicking in the heel a little bit on that back foot before stepping back to create your hook. And if you're moving a bit quicker, you want to do this by pivoting on the ball of the foot. So I'm light on my heel and I twist my hips sideways to step back into that position. I twist, and that's where I'm going to pull in, drive, and then when I come back out, I'm going to let that heel press back out again when I throw the fist. So you can make that into just like a nice consistent rollback exercise. You don't want to strain out the knee, but you want to be able to go shift comfortably, shift comfortably, shift comfortably, push, slip back, push out. That'll be the same when we're heading into our dragons, that we want to make sure that if the foot isn't rotated out when I set the heel down, that I continue to rotate till the foot is sideways. So I want to kind of settle in here, and I'm trying to bring my pelvis in the same direction as the weight-bearing leg. It's not going to entirely get there. It takes a lot of hip mobility to do that, but that's what I want to look for. So when I've thrown my stomp kick and I put that heel down, I want to be able to rotate. I don't want to fix this position and then crank across a toe that's facing forward. I want to make sure that that toe turns along with my pelvis. So let's face this way for a second. So as I turn my pelvis, that foot opens as I roll onto the ball of the foot. And this is one that's worth taking some time to kind of work on, to get a feeling of rotating in. And again, it's a range of motion. It's really trying to get us to learn how to sit down in the quads and the glutes in that position. Okay, so time is ticking on by. Let's take a minute. Let's review our turnaround, and let's spend the last 5 minutes doing a couple of nice slow passes of the set, integrating our turnaround into that. So last time we got together talking about the turnarounds, we were talking about this inside kind of pigeon-toed position, the drawing in, the lifting up. Now here's that same idea. I touch the heel, but I rotate on the heel and the ball of the foot. So we had left foot forward. As I shift the weight into the right, I chipped in with my left foot, turning inwards. I then spiral that out to my kick. And then after the kick, I rotate the hips. Before I put the weight on that foot, I'm rotating to position it. And that's where the hand comes out. So one more time, just the feet. Roll back, turn in, or like we talked about, chip through a little bit. Settle, everything is neutral and open, so I can kick, and then as I put the weight in, I pivot through. And as I pivot through, that's going to create push and pull. So the rotation into the hook stance helps create a bunch of push and pull. And this is really good, and typically you progress out of it if you're doing an arm bar. If you came through and you grabbed and kicked and you were turning somebody's elbow to the sky, and pressing down, you could then step in behind that and continue the pressure down. The arms were going lift, brush while we're kind of toed in, rise, settle into the left leg, spiral the foot and the hand, kicking, spiral the left hand, and now as we twist on that heel and turn the pelvis, we press down and pull back. That will set us up to step out and throw our wood fist. Last time. Let me go from the opposite direction this time. So I've done my last wood fist. I'm brushing, turning in. I'm condensing everything down. I'm spiraling to the stomp and the pull push so I can step out and wood fist. Earth, wood. Okay, time is zipping on by, but let's make sure we get through a few passes of this. And we'll go nice and slow today. Take time to adjust to the positions. So we're starting out 45 degrees from the line that we're going to be working on. We've got our lift, brush, and settle. We're going to go coil through, weights in the right foot, left hand touches in, and we step out to our suntoi. So we've got wood fist, first one. So here's that pull back where I've got to adjust. As I'm drawing back, I'm going to raise and pivot on the ball of the foot so I can sneak that spiral around. That's that spiral we're working on the beginning of class. Now, remember that pressuring, filling that space, stepping in behind it and pushing into wood fist. Now here's our phoenix work. So underneath, we're stepping back on a 45. Good. We're stepping in, we're crossing the wrists. We come up, we're stepping out on the 45, and we pound the mortar. Now that circular energy we were talking about in the Chuan, we pull this in. We draw everything in, and then we explode out to our fire fist. Now, all that work we were just doing on earth. Roll back, settle, light in the front foot. Right arm covers as we step out with back and out and back with the right leg. And as we step in with the left, we draw through, and then we maintain that position. So now it's just a core exercise. Turn and strike, and here comes our uppercut from bear eagle. So we're thrusting out of the back leg. Boom. We're spiraling in. Here comes our kick. Remember, rotate on the ball on the heel, turn the hip to dragon. Then we're going to step through. We're going to go step up punch, drive out punch. Then here's our turnaround. We're going to chip in as we brush. We're going to settle and release that right leg so we can spiral the right arm and the right leg. We're going to settle, come in with that left, continue to pivot, heel and ball, and down into dragon. So then we're going to go punch, roll back, earth, wood, underneath, first diagonal back with phoenix 1, wrists cross, diagonal back 2, pound the mortar. Draw in, explode out. Step back. As I'm stepping back, I'm covering. Cover, so you're kind of retreating out. 1. Step back, 2 and 3. Now we're going to roll back and uppercut. Boom. We're going to come through with our stomp, come through with the palm, rotate on the heel, settle, and down. We step out and we step up. 1 and drive through 2. Then we're going to turn, brush, settle. settle, come around, and the loop at this point is infinite. We can just keep going back and forth. Not today though, because we've run out of time. So hopefully, nice slow progress through there. We'll keep picking up details so that this is not just a walk up and down. Yeah, there's going to be a lot to figure out the patterning and get that memorization. But the real work comes after you don't have to think too much about the positioning, and you can start to fill in all of the internals and the concepts into the set as well. All right, go ahead. Thanks for training today. We will see you next week. If you've got questions, stick around. If not, text or email me. I'll bring those answers into the next class for you. Talk to you all soon.